Good morning, welcome to Catex TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, October 3rd, 2014. You can follow us on Twitter at Catex TV. Well, here's a number we haven't seen in a very long time, about 6 years actually. The unemployment rate in the United States is now under 6%. It's 5.9%. American employers added 248,000 jobs during the month of September. That's very big news, and no doubt the stock market will react today sharply. Futures are already significantly up. New details on a cyber attack against the big bank J.P. Morgan Chase have been revealed yesterday. The attack on the bank's servers began in mid-August. The bank has since determined that the breach, which they discovered in mid-August, may have begun as early as June. The bank disclosed yesterday that the breach compromised customer information pertaining to roughly 76 million households and 7 million small businesses. Considering that an average household is approximately 3 people, that's probably about 200 million plus people have been affected by this breach. The bank emphasized that there's no evidence that the breach included account numbers, passwords, and social security numbers or dates of birth. It said that it has not seen any unusual customer fraud stemming from the data breach, and it's working with the government on how to solve it and to try to identify the perpetrators, although it did come from offshore, according to the bank. There was a 5.7 earthquake in the central Philippines earlier today, sent workers out of their offices and caused cracks in the walls of buildings. The quake's epicenter was about 224 miles south of Manila. Aftershocks are expected, but there have been no reports of any significant damage or any deaths or injuries. U.S. military bases in Japan are on alert right now as a typhoon called Typhoon Phanfone is heading for the region. It's threatening torrential rains and gusty winds by late Sunday. The storm system is packing winds of about 112 miles per hour. Organizers of Japan's Formula One Grand Prix, which is scheduled for Sunday near Nagoya, are monitoring the situation very closely. You can probably expect this race to be canceled, so there'll be some event cancellation claims coming in. The crowds of pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong have dwindled sharply today after the country's leader, or the territory's leader, has agreed to meet the leaders of the protests. This is over the demands over electoral reforms. It seems as well that the sheer exhaustion of the protesters may have contributed to this. Also, oddly enough, earlier today, there were several thousand counter-protesters, mainly middle-aged men in business suits, who were encircling the protesters, asking them to move immediately and end the protest. They were trying to invade the protesters' space, and an unusual situation occurred where the police were blocking the counter-protesters from reaching the pro-democracy protesters. When one did breach the cordon, he was hustled away. So the Chinese seem to have definitely avoided a big problem here. We'll see. There's a major heat wave going on in California right now, triple digits, ranging from Southern California up to the 90-degree range in what's normally quite cool San Francisco area. The forecast for Death Valley, for example, is 102 today. The forecast for Woodland Hills in Los Angeles is 106. Los Angeles County is opening dozens of cooling centers at places like libraries and community centers. The Long Beach Unified School District is sending students home an hour early, and the LA Department of Water and Power is urging people to set their thermostats at 78 degrees. A fire at an offshore natural gas platform in the Cook Inlet in Alaska early yesterday morning forced all 4 people on board to evacuate. It looks like the platform is a total loss. This was the MV Discovery. It was operated by Houston-based Hillcore Energy Corporation. The blaze on the platform was reported it was fought by Coast Guard vessels pumping seawater out onto the platform. The fire is now out. There was a series of explosions at a munitions plant just north of Sofia in Bulgaria yesterday. It killed at least 15 employees. The blast was so powerful they annihilated the factory, leaving little behind but 2 yawning football field-sized craters. The mourning nation is beginning to wonder about the efficiency of the industry that they've now begun to make quite a bit of money on, the dismantling of obsolete munitions. The site remains so dangerous today that recovery crews are not allowed to enter. Everything looked like a moonscape. The plant and the people have just vanished. This is according to a rescue person who was there. Bulgaria, which was once a staunch Soviet ally, has now joined NATO, and they're economically one of the poorest countries in Europe. An industry that's sprung up to help them is dealing with the disposal and dismantlement of aging munitions left over from the Cold War. The problem is that this has caused some serious explosions. In 2008, there was an explosion at a munitions depot arms disposal plant, again just outside of Sofia, that registered 3.2 on the Richter scale. It also sent a shockwave so strong it damaged the runway at the international airport. The president of Bulgaria said that although they don't know what happened yesterday at this explosion, it's likely that the arrogant non-observance of safety rules and regulations were to blame for the deaths at the plant. The plant was currently dismantling, of all things, Greek landmines at the time of the explosion. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Have a good weekend, and thank you for watching.